Taxis were damaged by the explosion in the Johannesburg CBD yesterday, and those that are still running are being affected by closed roads. The Gauteng Secretary of Taxi Association, Santaco, Fritz, joins us now to discuss the disruption not only to commuters, but of course the cost implications to the industry. Good afternoon to you, Graham, and thanks so much for your time. The scenes that we just saw on social media really almost gives you a sense that this is not real, but this is something that happened to the taxi industry, commuters in the CBD, South Africans, innocent people for that matter. Just your reaction to the developments.
Good afternoon, Sandy, and good afternoon to all the viewers of eNCA in South Africa. Yes, it is difficult for us as a taxi industry for what happened yesterday, most especially for the people that has been injured and the damages to the vehicles. But we are really concerned for what is going to happen from tomorrow onwards, as in actual fact from today onwards.
Yeah, and this is the Lillian Goye, or is it the Bree Street precinct? That's where the Bree taxi rank is, and not too far from the Gandhi Square and the Mary Fitzgerald Square, Market Theatre. So it's quite an economic hub and a lot of movement that takes place there. So there definitely would be quite a disruption to commuters and businesses.
No, definitely it's a big disruption. You know, that is like the lifeline for Johannesburg. The people need to go up in there and get onto the taxis and use that road. So it is the road closures that's going to affect us a lot, will be especially in that areas. So how will the people now start commuting and getting taxis from there? Remember, operating licenses are also dedicated to specific roads, and that will have an effect on it as well. So the transport department will have to come on board to assist us with that as well.
You don't think that we should maybe explore whether there is an alternative taxi rank to ensure the comfort and convenience for commuters? Because we've heard from emergency services that they are cautiously observing and investigating the situation, and hopefully there won't be further explosions. But don't you think that the safety of the commuters should be paramount?
No, definitely the safety of the commuters are really taken in consideration, and it is paramount that we really look at them. So alternative arrangements are being taken, and we are in talks with government to assist us at the transport department so that you can see how and well we can assist our commuters for the day from onwards.
All right. Just speak us through for those who are not familiar, maybe, in terms of the road closures around the Bree Street and how far this would extend. It looks like it's at least 2 kilometers or so, a stretch of road that has been affected.
Yes, it is quite a big space that has been cordoned off. So we will really have to look and get the assistance from the transport department and government for all those affected areas.
Do you know at this stage the cost of the damage to the taxis, the number of taxis involved? We know that there's at least 40 incidents or victims that have been taken to hospital for medical attention, and one person had sadly lost his life. But do we know the extent of the damage so far?
Certainly at the moment we don't have an exact figure or an amount of people that has vehicles that has been damaged. But we are looking more or less at about 30 vehicles that has been damaged, and all reports are still coming in so that we can get a total figure of that.
Okay, and what kind of support does Santaco then give to your members, particularly with insurance and having to repair their vehicles? Because I know that the burden of the taxi operator is to, get loan funding and repay the taxi and maintain it, etc. But insurance, are they covered?
Insurances are covered through the owners themselves. But however, we will be taking a stance as the taxi industry, not just Santaco, but the taxi industry, Gauteng taxi industry as such, to talk to all the stakeholders involved so that we can look at the extent of the damages and then talk to all the government as well to see how well we can assist all the owners that has been in this tragic incident.
Yeah, but you're obviously going to need some form of funding. So if you speak to government, does that mean there is some expectation that there would be an emergency relief fund of sorts to help throughout the situation?
We are in talks with that, Cindy. However, we haven't come to an agreement as such. So we will be still having meetings with the government to see how far we can assist our operators that has lost their vehicles in this.
Yeah. And as you're saying, the road closures will now impact, of course, on commuters getting to work or school on time, and also the movement of people in general. With that particular taxi rank being closed, what is the alternative that you are negotiating to move people to? You know, it's almost, what is it now, 4:30 in the afternoon. People need to prepare what their day is going to look like the next day.
Well, for now, Cindy, we haven't come up to a proper space where we're going to utilize. So we're still having in talks with government to see how far we can assist and get a new premises for all our taxis to sign, for the people to get up to use the taxis.
All right, but at the moment, can you then give us an indication that it is running? The Bree Street taxi rank is running, and I suppose taxi drivers would have to navigate around the damaged roads to find commuters, which then means it's another coordinating effort for them to reach their customers.
Yes, Cindy, it is, however, a little bit unfortunate, and I know it's quite a big inconvenience for people to go and get new places to get on and their taxis to get to their premises, home, and places of work. But unfortunately, at the moment, we are trying to accommodate everybody. But for now, we don't have a strict plan as yet. However, we're using still the Bree taxi rank as such.
Yeah, and the financiers, are you in conversation with the financiers of the taxi industry? I think it's called taxi, where many of the loans, or they are a buffer or a bridge between the banks that would feel the taxi industry is too high risk, perhaps to fund, and the taxi association then gets their funding through this private company. Are you in talks with them and see how you can find synergies to ease the burden on the taxi drivers or operators, I beg your pardon?
Yeah, thanks for that, Cindy. Yes, for now, we still having in talks with them. However, we didn't get a proper answer from them, and we cannot at this stage divulge what has been discussed and the outcomes of that yet.
All right, not necessarily what was discussed, but you can give us a sense, what is your plea? What is your prayer that you're taking to your financier? Because they could easily say, look, it's not our problem. At the end of the day, we expect repayment of the loan funding that you have taken, and the consequences thereof will then follow, which means that 30 or so families or operators would potentially lose their vehicles.
Cindy, at the moment, yes, we are in talks with them, as I said, and we are talking to them to see how far they can assist us. We are at this stage requested that an extension be made for this specific operators so that we can get assistance from the banks as such, the financial institutions, to assist these operators with like a moratorium over these payments.
Yeah, a moratorium or a payment holiday. But again, I think it brings back the question in the true ownership of the industry, where many had said this is the one shining example, a beacon of hope, that transformation exists, or an industry that is not necessarily of the established businesses, was started and run primarily by those who were marginalized and disenfranchised before. But the issue around finances then puts the spotlight on the fact that, quite frankly, the taxi industry is not owned by black people. You still go and kowtow to finance institutions, and that's where your vulnerability is.
No, I agree with you that it's not the black taxi industry on its own yet. So we are still reliant on all the financial institutions to assist us with this. However, we are in talks with government to start our own taxi financial institution at the moment.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there, Graham. Just your message to the victims and your commuters in particular who will now be in an inconvenience, albeit it's not a direct as a result of what you had done as an association, but because of the nature of this incident.
Yes, we are sad for what happened, and we really apologize to everybody who has been injured and all the families who are affected, most especially also the taxi owners who has lost their vehicles in this, and the vehicles are standing. But our main concern is the people that has been injured. And thank God that we are, so far, only one person has succumbed to this, to death.
Thank you so much, Graham. Really, really appreciate it. That's Graham Fritz, Santaco Gauteng Secretary, reacting to the explosion that took place in Bree Street yesterday. 40 people in hospital and one having lost his life.